Okay, in this last video I'm going to freestyle a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example of an online curriculum. This is from, as you can see, it's from British Columbia up here. And the idea here is to basically have a look at how the design of the curriculum in an online interface can help practitioners in terms of their sense making when they come to look at the curriculum, and it might give us some interesting design ideas around the curriculum. So I'm at the landing page here, okay, and as you can see, there's some information here about how the curriculum is going to prepare students for the future. There's a learn more button, and then all the curriculum subjects are listed there, and then there's some information for parents. There's some numeracy assessment samples, webinars, all sorts of interesting things that you can look at. There's some links here to other useful documents, but the key curriculum areas are in here. So the curriculums by subjects are here. So I'm going to, I apologise for this, I'm going to go into social studies because it is the area that I'm most familiar with. If you click on the social studies curriculum, what you end up with is social studies K1 to K9, which is the sort of equivalent ages for our existing national curriculum, and then you get into grade 10 social studies. You do a general qualification, you do explorations in social studies in your grade 11. Then when you get to grade 12, you can see that there's a great deal of specialism in terms of what you can focus on in the social studies areas. So all things from 20th century world history through to physical geography, law studies, genocide studies, a whole wide range of, and importantly things like contemporary Indigenous studies, which is important in terms of the curriculum in British Columbia. So the reason I point that out is because one of the things that we're considering at the moment in the design process is, where do we stop being generic in terms of having areas of learning, and where do we become more specific in terms of the disciplines? And as you can see in British Columbia, very little happens until grade 12, when students then do specialise prior to studying then at university or going into the world of work. So let's have a look at, let's go to grade 7 social studies. So it's clickable here. It's quite nice to that, isn't it, that you can see the journey of the young person through the whole of that area of learning. If you look at the design here, what we've got is its commonness across all areas of learning, or in the British Columbia curriculum. You've got the introduction, the goals and the rationale, what's new, resources, curriculum overview. There's a download button as well, so you can pull it off in PDF and Word. And the way it's structured in British Columbia is there is a series of core competencies. So the way they framed their core competencies are the competencies of communication, thinking, and personal and social education. So they've gone for personal and social as a core competence. I guess we've gone for health and well-being as an area of learning, and it is of course one of the full purposes. And then what you find then here, so this is grade 7 social studies, is you get big ideas within each grade area. So in the new Welsh curriculum, we've gone for 6 to 8 what matters concepts across the disciplines, and those are therefore quite abstracted and high level. The big ideas within the British Columbia curriculum are much more framed around particular focuses. So if you can see here, geographic conditions shaped the emergence of civilizations. Religious and cultural practices that have emerged during this period have endured and continue to influence people. Increasingly complex societies require new systems of law and government, and economic specialization and trade networks can lead to conflict and cooperation between societies. So whilst they're still relatively high level big ideas, you can see the disciplinary focus of those ideas coming through in each case. You can see that some are, are more geographic, some are more historical, some are more religious in nature. When you go then into the learning standards, I've let the cat out of the bag already there. Hang on a second. What we've got is the curricular competencies that young people are expected to be able to do here, and what they're learning. And underneath each of these curricular competencies, they're actually given a list of skills that they should be using within the context of their study. So things like here, so this one's around social studies inquiry, so comparison, classification, inference, imagination, interpret scales, legends, graphs, tables, select an appropriate graphical form of communication for a specific purpose. So those skills are laid out, and they're laid out here for each area with a blue hyperlink. And as you can see, they're repetitive, so they're not all different in each case. But those are the curricular competencies that should be developed through those ideas through time. And then there's also content suggestions. So this would be similar to some of the range that exists within our current national curriculum. So anthropological origins of humans, human responses to particular geographic challenges and opportunities. And actually, when you start looking at the detail here, it is actually quite prescriptive, because key characteristics of physical environments, development of settlement, proximity to water, fertile land, natural resources, the fall of the culture, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic activity, so your tectonic hazards are in there. And actually, here's one around civilizations, advanced technology, specialized workers, record keeping. So they are actually quite specific about the content knowledge that students are expected to know here, the competencies they're expected to develop within these 4 big ideas across grade 7. So whilst the structure may appear quite similar to the curriculum that we're developing in Wales, I would suggest here that the level of prescription is a lot higher than that previously. But the reason I showed that wasn't really to compare the 2 curricula, but was to think about what it would be possible to do within a digital interface. Okay, so here you can see quite a lot of information is signalled for the practitioner. Is it too much? Is it helpful? What sort of examples of things would we like to see just there to support the curriculum framework? Okay. So the 2 questions that I was going to ask that would have been on the slide were, how can we design the national curriculum to ensure that it encourages engagement, practitioner engagement, and help them to make sense of the new document? And what could be added by way of case studies and examples to support the practitioner and their understanding? Okay, so similar to the things that we've already considered, but again, have an opportunity now to discuss your thinking.